I just want to talk about second chances. You know, God says, oh man, what's it say? It says something about man may fall 7 times, but God's gonna help him. Even if you fall more than 7 times, God's still gonna help you. Um, I got to bless somebody and help somebody out this morning with some food and some dog food for their dog. I seen him sleeping in a tent when I was taking my dog for a walk, and it was just like, man, that was beautiful. Something God put it on my heart to like get in my go in my house and find some food that I don't necessarily need or I'm going to use right now and give it to somebody. And I had an unopened jar of jelly and an unopened can of peanut butter and an unopened bag of bread, and I was able to go give him some food. And I was down on my luck the other week, and we had to go to the food pantry, and they gave me some dog food for my dog that my dog's never going to eat because my dog's spoiled. And he gets hot dogs and rice and all kinds of stuff like that. But so they gave me some dog food, so I was able to give him a big old Ziploc bag of dog food for his dog too. I seen that he had a dog with him, and it's crazy because I sit out here and I talk about second chances, and I talk about tithing to help others. And tithing's not always done through the church. The church doesn't use all that tithing money to help others. The church uses most of that tithing money to keep the lights on in their church and help themselves and pay their own bills. And um, that's not what it's about. Church isn't inside four walls. God put us in the church. God put us out here in the world so we can help others, so we can be the church, you know? And maybe that's where somebody got it twisted the other day when they asked, so you think you're God or something, I don't know, some off the wall comment like that. Um, and that's not what it's about. It's not about thinking that you're God or thinking that you're great or anything like that, because I don't have much right now. But I took the little that I did have and I was able to bless and help somebody else who had nothing, who was down on their luck, who doesn't currently have a job or isn't working and is living out of a tent in the woods. And I've been there, I've done that. And truthfully, I mean, he's better off. He's better off right now where he's at than I was at than when I was homeless. I slept in the back of a U-Haul truck, just to I didn't have nowhere to sleep, and I refused to sleep on the street corners, so I slept in the back of a U-Haul truck. You know how they park all them U-Haul trucks in the parking lot and stuff, and nobody's there monitoring them at night. So if you can find I'm not I'm not encouraging anybody else to do this or anything, but uh, place didn't have cameras, and I seen a bunch of trucks, so I popped open the door and climbed up in the back and closed the door and slept in the back of the truck, um, just so I wasn't out on the street corner. So, is anybody going to join me on this live chat this morning? I seen one person jumped on and then jumped right back off. I guess they didn't like what I was talking about, but God moves. Um, Even if people don't hear this message right now, maybe they'll hear it later. I seen one person join. How are you doing this morning? Um, got any questions or comments or anything? What's going on in your life? How is God working through you? Is God working through you? Are you allowing God to work through you? Um, are you being a blessing to others? How are you being a blessing to others? Feel free to join in at any time. Man, it's beautiful out here. Just, you know, God puts me out here to where I can sit here and peacefully think and reflect on nature and God's creation. How you guys doing? I see we got 2 people on the live feed now. How you guys doing this morning? What's up, bro? How you doing, man? I was talking about, bless you too, brother. I was talking about how I was able to be blessing to somebody else this morning, you know. And man, 41 degrees out there. Yeah, it's pretty cold. Yeah, it's about 50, maybe 60 degrees out here. About to take this sweatshirt off. Nah, I'm lying. I'm not about to take this sweatshirt off. It's still a little cold enough to wear a sweatshirt. You know, it's still a little chilly. Thank you. Yeah, my buddy gave me this hat. It says forgiven on the other side. Jesus on the back side. We were having a second chance Sunday at the church for prison fellowship, and he was going through his house cleaning out a whole bunch of hats and stuff he had, and man, he gave my buddy like a racing hat or something like that, and then he gave me this Jesus forgiven hat, and I was like, man, that fits perfect. I needed that hat today, you know. Where are you at? 90 degrees, man. That must be nice. I wish it was 90 degrees. I'd be out on a jet ski right now. Thank you. God bless you too. I'm happy because I got to, you know, I've been talking on my shorts about, you know, tithing isn't always to the church. It's about being active in our community and helping other people who need help. And I was able to be a blessing to somebody who needed help this morning, you know. I seen somebody sleeping in a tent, and I was able to help them and be a blessing to them by giving them some food. And they had a dog, so I was able to give them some dog food for their dog, you know. And it was great, man. It felt great to, you know, be a blessing to somebody else, to actually tithe into the world, to tithe into our community, you know, and give back into our community. I don't have much, but, you know, I seen this guy when I was walking my dog, so I went back in the house and found what I had. And, you know, I was able to drive over to him and talk to him for a minute and give him some food and, you know, talk to him about God and be a blessing to him, you know. And hopefully God, you know, will start to move in his life, you know, and just, you know, let him know about Philippians 4:11 through 13, how Paul said, I've learned to be content in whatever situation I'm in. I know how to live with everything or with nothing, for I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. And, you know, that's great. That's knowing how to live on both sides of the fence. And, you know, with every struggle and every downfall and every hardship, you know, there's a blessing coming. God's already working. He's already got something planned for you. He's already got a blessing coming for you, you know? Oh yeah, the lake's right over there. But yeah, some four-wheel trails down there. That's normally here, I think I can switch the camera around. Yeah, let me flip it around. Yeah, so this right here, that's normally filled up with water, but the lake's real low right now. So, you know, but there is the lake out there. I'm not sure if you guys can see that or not, but the lake is out there. And man, it's beautiful out here. I love it out here. Hi, how are you doing, the speaker of purity? What do you want as far as survival tips go? I mean, I have a house right over yonder, so I'm not like living in the woods or anything like that. But you know, I I survived by leaning on God and leaning on Christ. I I make do with what I got. I don't worry about what I don't got. I just make do with what I do have. Hi, how are you doing, the speaker of purity? Oh, I already said that. Sorry. You know, if somebody needed to survive a month or so, if the grid went down, um, I would recommend stocking up on the bare essentials. Um, maybe some bread, some peanut butter and jelly, some perishables, a can opener. Me myself, I'd make sure I had a lighter and some wood and a fishing rod with some bait, you know, some bait or some lures or something like that, so I could go fishing and I could catch my I could catch my every night. Not that Walmart bread, man. That Walmart bread stays good for months. But yeah, bread. Sometimes bread does go moldy fast. Um, but I'm telling you, Walmart makes a bread that stays without mold for like a month. But hi, how are you doing? But you know, perishables, the bare essentials. Like I said, I would have a fishing rod and some lures or some bait or something like that. You know, or a fishing rod and a casting net maybe, so I could catch some shad, so I could fish with the, fish. Um, you know, I could catch my own bait and I could go out there fishing. My wife's not a huge fan of seafood, but yeah, I mean, God is the bread of life. You know, I'm sure McDonald's does. Um, but yeah, I mean, yeah, if if that's all you got, you're gonna eat. You know, um, if all you got is seafood, you're gonna eat seafood. Um, you're gonna do what you have to do to survive. You could also go hunting and stuff like that. There's a little more skill and there's a little more skill involved with. You can get yourself a bow and arrow though, and you could learn how to hunt and live off of that too. But you also have to skin that food and eat that food. And I think fish is just so much easier to clean and eat and cook. Um, if I lived somewhere near saltwater, I would find me a beach and you can pick mussels right out of the beach. Mussels, clams, oysters, you know, you can pick them right out of the beach. Get seafood there and wrap it up in some foil, or if you don't have no foil, you can make something just to elevate it a little bit off the heat or just away from the heat and go ahead and sit there and cook them up. Yeah, peanut butter does last a long time and it does have a lot of protein, and you can live directly off peanut butter for a while. But man, I would just learn how to live and survive off of what God provides for us, you know? We might not like fish, but there's fish out there. God provides fish for our food. God provides by squirrels and deer and rabbit and stuff like that, which can also be a good source of food and protein. Um, how you doing, True Songs? We're talking about living off the grid and just surviving, you know, with nothing but what God gives us. God provides everything we need and more. Yeah, water is the most important thing. We definitely need water or some kind of juices or something like that. Yes, definitely need some type of filtration device for clean water. You know, out here on the lake, you know, you can get water out of the lake, I'm assuming, and you can filter that water somehow. You can cook that water over the fire, something like that, you know, to filter it and purify it. You know, heat does purify water, so same thing. Lighter, some matches, a little fire going, you know. You can get a steel can and some buckets of water, and you can purify that water. You can also catch rainwater and purify that. You can always find a source of water somewhere. A lot of us don't think about these things, but you know, if we did have to live off the grid, you know, we would live off of God. Yeah, you have to, I'm not sure all the details on it. I know you have to boil it for so long, something like that, but I believe, I may be wrong, but I believe you can purify water by boiling it for a certain amount. I'd have to look up the details on that though. Man, I sure wish I had a side-by-side or an ATV or a golf cart or something right now, man, to ride around in these woods a little more. Man, there's all kinds of trails that go down here over to another community over there. You can dig down on the side of the waterway on shore and the water is filtered. How is the water filtered by digging down on the side of a waterway? Explain that one to me. I know if it goes through rocks and stuff like that, I believe the rocks purified and stuff like that. But I'm not too sure about that one either. I've never really thought about that before. Yeah, and the sand and rocks. Yeah, the sand and rocks will purify the water. That's what I thought. I know if you're somewhere near like a waterfall or something like that, I know that water's pretty clean. I think that water's drinkable also, isn't it? Yeah, always boil. How long do you boil for? Do you know? What do you mean by 10 minutes? Cool. What do you mean working 925? What do you mean by when do humans first feel pain? Yeah, I think if it came down to it, I don't know all that. I think if it came down to it though, and I had to live off the grid, I believe I could get by. I really do. There's plenty of lake water out there, so I'm sure we can make that. Yeah, there's a lot of people that wouldn't survive long. Yeah, my wife's a pretty picky eater too, but you know, if it comes down to it, and it's, you know, eat or die, you're gonna eat what you gotta eat, you know? Like I said, out here, you know, God provides water for us. He provides rain and water. There's fish and birds. There's squirrels and rabbits. There's deer. There's all kinds of stuff we can eat, you know? Your friend lost his job and blames Trump, and it might be. I'm not here to put the blame on anybody, but I don't know. Can't tell you what his situation is. Yeah, that's the problem. A lot of us, we're too divided to help one another. And, you know, that's why when I seen that guy this morning that was down on his luck, you know, I seen that as an opportunity and a chance to help somebody. So I went to the house and I told my wife I was gonna get some food. I actually told her I was gonna go give him some money, but she told me to put together some food for him. And I was able to take him over some food and some dog food for his dog, you know. You lost your job feeding the homeless? How can you lose a job feeding the homeless? I mean, wherever we go, we're always going to have people that aren't as fortunate as us. We're always going to have homeless people. We're always going to have, and you know, we can always feed them. I mean, if you worked for a bigger church or organization or something like that that fed the homeless, man, start your own organization. Be your own church. There's government funding out there for this stuff. And people are saying, you know, Trump is the reason people are losing their jobs and stuff like that. But the real reason behind the government shutdown right now isn't because of Trump. It's because of the other side of the party. We were funding millions and millions and millions of dollars to other country for frivolous things that we don't need to be funding these other countries for. Stuff that's off the wall. And you know, they basically said, hey, we're going on strike. We're going on shutdown until Trump agrees to fund these other things. You know, and I don't like speaking on politics much. I don't agree with politics. I think it's all a big sham. I think we can govern ourselves as human beings. I think the government and the funding and all that, it's all about money. It's all about to keep the rich rich and the poor poor. And I don't feel we need the government to survive in life. it wasn't about giving people medicine in other places where they need medicine. It was, we were giving vasectomies in other places. We were supporting sex changes for transgenders and stuff like that. It wasn't about spending millions of dollars on food and stuff like that for other people. It was about sex changes and everything that goes against what the Bible says. And you know, Trump is just like any other leader we have out there. He's just a puppet. It's not him making all these decisions. As much as people want to believe in one man, the only one man you can believe in is Jesus Christ, who died on the cross for our sins. Yeah, and that's true. People do want us to take on the weight of the world. But you know what? We got enough weight right here in our own country. I totally agree with you 100%. You know, we need to worry about what we have right here in our backyard before we can worry about what's in everybody else's backyard, you know? I mean, we have a big homeless and hungry population out there. Why don't we first support what we need to support here in America before we go out trying to take on the burdens of all these other countries? I mean, I know there's missionaries and stuff like that to go out there to help other countries. And, you know, hey, God's put them people there for whatever reason he's put them there for. But let's take care of what's in our own backyard first. Let's take care of our own people first. Let's take care of our own homelessness first. Let's take care of our own hunger problem first. You know, we have people out there dying of hunger, dying of homelessness and stuff like that, especially in these winter months. I have no idea why the president's giving $40 million to Argentina. I don't know nothing about that. Like I said, I try not to get too much into politics. I try to pick and choose my battles, and politics isn't one of them. And I don't agree with cutting SNAP or Medicare and Medicaid and all that, because, you know, cutting SNAP doesn't just affect our homeless community and stuff like that, but there's a lot of elderly people on retirement that depend on SNAP and stuff like that. And yes, I tell people that all the time. If you first can't take care of yourself, who else can you help? How can you help somebody else if you can't take care of yourself first? You need to be able to build yourself up to a position to where you are able to be a blessing, to where you are able to help others, you know? And I'm not rich or anything like that, but I'm doing all right. And, you know, I had a little extra food and I was able to help somebody else out today, you know, and that feels good. It's not about what we got, it's about what we can give. I don't know how this turned into a whole political thing. But yeah, I'm not red or blue. You know, Both parties have their own points and their own agendas. But at the end of the day, the red and blue is only to cause division. It's to keep us divided instead of united. Because if we didn't have red and blue, if we didn't have to choose a side, if we were all out for the same goal, to better America, to better our neighbors and our fellow humans and all that, there would be no red and blue. Oh, yeah. Yeah, their friend did lose their job and blame Trump, but there's no one person to blame for that, It's a whole lot of people. Like I said, Trump's just a puppet. He only does what Congress and the government allows him to do. And people get that twisted all the time. They're like, oh, Trump this, oh, Trump that. Trump's going to make America great again and all this kind of stuff. Trump's not doing nothing that they don't allow him to do. Trump only does what they allow him to do. He's just a puppet. Why aren't we ever going to unite again? We could unite. It could be possible. All things are possible through God. Believe me. You say he's a dictator at the same time, but like I said, he's just a puppet. He's just a face. He's just a face. Like, I'll give you an instance. My old pastor is all wrapped up in politics and stuff like that. And all he wants to do is go take pictures everywhere. He wants to take pictures of, oh, I did this, pictures of, oh, I did that. But realistically, he didn't do nothing. He just took pictures. Everybody else did the work. Everybody, and it's the same thing with Trump. Everybody else that you don't see behind the scenes is doing the work. Trump is just up there taking the credit for it, or taking the downfall for it, taking the blame or taking the credit, I don't want to say taking the credit, but taking the blame or the credit, Yeah, and if you don't agree with them laws or them federal judges and lawmakers and all that kind of stuff, fight against the system, I don't believe in the system. I got pulled over a month ago because a cop profiled me because who I used to be. But profiling me because of who I used to be, that's like robbing my old house. I don't live there no more. That part of me is gone. That part of my life's done with. I don't live there no more. And both my wife and I were justice ambassadors for Prison Fellowship. So we do get a chance to be wrapped up in the politics. We get a chance to go to the state capitol, and we get a chance to go to Washington, D.C. to try to stand up for ex-felons and unjust laws and stuff like that, to try to change laws for these people who are getting out of jail, who found a new way of life, and the system tries to make it so hard for them. So, yeah, if you don't agree with the laws, we, the people, have a right to put together a congregation of people and go up and stand up and fight for what we believe in and what's right. So if you don't believe something's right, hey, you got the internet right here. Stand up, get together, get a group of people together on the internet. Get a group of diehard people that believe in the same thing that you believe in on the internet, and go up there to these state capitals, to these lawmakers, to these representatives, and say, hey, we the people believe this should be changed, and this is why this should be changed. And they might not agree with you, but you know what? They can't fight the facts. And they can't fight us, the people, either. So if we get enough people together and enough backing together, we can go up there and stand up against these laws, and we can change laws. We are the reason these laws have been made, because we allow these people to sit in our office, to sit in our and contradict what we can and can't do and stuff like that. I'm from Baltimore, Maryland, but I currently live in Texas. I've been in Texas since 2017. But yeah, I was born and raised in Maryland. I was born in Baltimore, raised up in the county, moved back to Baltimore and stuff like that. But yeah, I live in good old state of Texas now. So yeah, we were talking about fishing and living off the land and stuff like that, and then it totally went sideways, and somebody started talking trash about Trump, and then it became a whole political mess, and talking about, I don't know how it went from talking about I guess because he lost his job and maybe he's facing homelessness or something like that, and they want somebody to put the blame on for it, but we need to lean into Christ and just believe in Christ, and know that God's going to make a way, and know that God's going to use everything for his good. Know that no matter what hardships or what battles or what fights we go through, God's going to use all that for his greatness, to show how good he is and how faithful he is to his people. And we were all God's people. Anybody else want to talk about anything today? We done talked about politics. We done talked about living off the grid. And what if the grid shut down? Homelessness. All kinds of stuff. And like I said, and everything we talked about goes back to God. And everything I talked about, that Bible verse I spoke about earlier, is still true. Philippians 4:11 through 13. For I have learned how to be content in whatever situation I'm in. I know how to live with everything or with nothing. For I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. So, no matter what situation you're in, where you're at in life, anything like that, just know that God's got your back. God never stops working. He's always there for us, no matter what. And God's always there, and God's always moving. He never goes broke. He never runs out of love. He never goes broke, nothing. And he's always faithful. Could somebody live back here if they needed to? I know I could. Could you live back here? Could you live off the wilderness? Could you live off what God provides for us? Because God provides everything we need. And then some, The world's not about money and riches and stuff like that. Money's man-made, Before money was around, we used to, before money existed, you know, we used to trade cattle, trade, you know, trade livestock, stuff like that. We used to live off the land. We used to trade land, trade livestock, trade fish, whatever. You die without the mountains. Yeah, the mountains are great. I haven't been up to the mountains in a while. I'm in Texas now, but we used to go hunting up there every year when I was younger. And I love the mountains, man. It's great. Especially because the higher up you go, man, the colder it gets, stuff like that. I might go out Colorado here this winter. I heard they got some beautiful mountains up there, some really high peaks. Almost tripped there. This is normally a river right here. All the way down through here. Do we have road runners in Texas? I don't know. I'm not from Texas. So not to my knowledge. I've only been in Texas for a few years, since 2017, so I'm not sure of everything Texas does or doesn't have. Not the car, the bird. I don't know. Like I said, bro, I've only lived here for a few years. Hi, how you doing, Paul Phillips? You got road runners in Tuscan. Is that here in Texas? Where's Tuscan at? We got gator guards out here. We got alligators out here somewhere too. Arizona, Tucson. Is that Tucson, Arizona? Yeah, I heard Arizona is beautiful. I'm supposed to actually go up there and pick up a RV pretty soon. And a buddy of mine's actually moving out to Arizona here in a couple months. He's selling his house in Virginia Beach or Norfolk or something like that. And he's going to be moving out to Arizona. I seen a bobcat or something out here one day. I actually had I don't know what I think it's a bobcat. Yeah, coyote. Yeah, that's right. That's what it is, a coyote. I seen coyotes out here. I seen coyotes out here a couple times. I seen coyotes when I lived in Murphy, Texas. And I think I seen one go across my yard one night. Run across like my backyard into the field. Yeah, I can never remember what they're called. Right side of the screen. Yeah, I bet mountain lions are scary. That's why you should always have a gun on you. I've seen a coyote twice, just one coyote, twice. Unless maybe that was a bobcat, I don't know. Now, I don't have a gun. The government won't allow me to have one. I'm a justice impacted individual, and because I'm a justice impacted individual, the government says you're not allowed to have a gun. Even though none of my charges or anything like that or ag charges or anything, they still won't allow me to have a gun. I've never got that close to a coyote to get rabies from it. Yeah, that's what we call ourselves, justice impacted individuals. It's a nicer way of saying I'm a felon. I'm a prison fellowship justice ambassador, and we don't identify as felons. We identify as justice impacted individuals. Or formerly incarcerated individuals. We don't identify as felons, though. We're better than that. Yeah, felon does sound a bit harder, but you know, felon's also a label that the government puts on you, and I choose not to conform to the labels that the government wants to put on us. And I'm gonna tell you the truth too. When I got my house, if I told my landlord I was a felon, I might have not got the house. But I didn't tell him I was a felon. I explained to him that I'm a justice impacted individual. Then I explained to him what justice impacted meant. And then I explained to him that I'm not that person that I used to be. That I'm a new creation through Christ, you know? And he liked that, and he rented it to me. He rented it to me and my wife, and we're both justice impacted individuals. Well, guys, man, it's been nice talking to everybody. Yeah, some people do take language a little bit too far. But look, it's been real nice talking with you guys this morning and being on the live with you guys and answering every question. Can't hear me. Yeah, I got to get out of here. I got some work to do. I got to drop an engine in a car and get some work done today. But you know, you guys should subscribe to the channel and check out some of my and next time I go live, you'll get notified. Amen. Bless y'all.